Hello and welcome to podcast Digital Twin. Today we will talk about what actually can managers learn from manufacturing companies. Stay tuned.
Digital Twin Podcast is a place where technology and business is going hand in hand.
If you are thinking about digitalizing your company, you found the right place.
Podcast is hosted by Adrian Stelmach, consultant who implements IT solutions for manufacturing companies.
And Paul Pachovich, industrial digitalization expert, who helps global companies to optimize production processes. Okay, so let's start with the obvious.
Mm-hmm.
Who is a manager?
Okay, so definition. we can actually.
Let's start with the definition. It's always good to start with something.
We can talk about the definition for the rest of this episode, but in few words, we can say that this is a person who is responsible for doing the managing process. You can say, and if you think about managing process right now, so you have to talk to people. You have to. You're responsible for budgeting. You're responsible for communication, internal and external, and so on. All of those things nowadays are done using the technology, or can be done using the technology. A lot of teams are, we are using a lot of different communication devices and software to communicate in, diversified environment. So without technology nowadays, it's very hard to
Sure. So
work.
so the general description of a manager is like a typical set of skills and responsibilities. But what is important here to mention that there is more and more technology involved in their work, right? So they can set the goals, develop strategies, allocate resources, but that's pretty much the job of every single manager. But the ability to implement, digital solutions, the ability to understand technology enough to be able to solve problems more efficiently, I think this is something that's crucial for every single manager. But so the episode will be about managers within the manufacturing industry, right? Because so do you think that this is like a little more challenging for a manager than just for a manager that works in retail or something?
I think nowadays, because the technology is changing so much, every few weeks we have, updates from, phones, computers, and so on. And some things are working in a different way, and we have to adopt for that. And it's much faster than a few years ago, for example. Also, if we had methods, for example, which we developed like 30, 40 years ago, nowadays, if we talk with younger generation, probably it will not work because younger generation, they you can say they woke up every day and start using smartphone right ahead, and you have to keep up with with that.
Yeah. So it's more and more difficult. From what you're saying, it's more and more difficult to keep up to date, right? So those managers, they are becoming managers that have to use technology on regular basis. So keeping up to date, right? Why do you think that's important for those managers? Like everything is going in a crazy speed right now. Like we are accelerating technologies through the roof. First of all, it's difficult to keep up with that. But why is it so important now, to keep up with the ever-evolving technology?
Every business in the end, it's, the most important thing is how much money is in your account, right? It's normal. But if you think about it, you can say that in a lot of areas, it's impossible to cut costs without using the technology. So because of that, you have to know what kind of tools and technological tools you can use for that. And of course, in different businesses, it could be something else. For example, if you're working in a retail, probably you know what is e-commerce, and probably you did something to know potentially what e-commerce can do with your business. And for example, if you're cutting hair and you have a hair salon, probably e-commerce is not something which you can use to scale your business, right? So of course it depends in which kind of sector you work, but in every one of them, because I cannot imagine one without impact of the technology, you can use it.
Sure. So yeah, I think there are two main factors that I think are like super important here, and if they keep up to date with the constantly changing technology, then the company they work for can maintain the competitive edge in the market, because everything changes so fast. If you're not following up, then you are not implementing the technology that helps you, be competitive in the market. So I think that's the one that is super important, because with constantly changing circumstances, you have to adjust your business. If you don't, you'll become Kodak or something like that. But and the other super important element of keeping up to date is the fact that more and more decisions need data for the decision making process. So the more data you have, the better you organize the data, the better conclusions you can draw. So there's more and more data, like this term data lakes are more and more popular, but the ability to understand what kind of data should we be looking at, and what kind of conclusions can we draw out of them, super relevant.
Yeah, the king of the market is someone who knows exactly. If you wanna, for example, we talk about rising prices of energy and gas a few episodes ago, and the question is, if you know exactly what percentage of your final product price is actually energy, you know exactly how much you have to raise the price if you want to stay on the market. If you don't have this knowledge and you just do it in a more random way, there's a big chance that your competition has this knowledge and knows how to do it better. So I would say data is the king nowadays, and someone who knows and not only having the data is the king, but also systems who can help you making conclusions. And more detailed data you have regarding to costs, more efficient decision as a manager you can do.
Absolutely. So let's talk about this data-driven approach. So more and more companies are collecting data, but I believe that there are, through the IoTs or IIoTs, there are different kind of data that we are not collecting at the moment. So, the ability to understand that there's so much data that can be relevant, but we just don't have the infrastructure to collect it and then draw conclusions based on the analysis. I think that's important in this whole approach, in this whole data-driven approach. I think we all know that we need to analyze data, but on the other hand, there are areas that are super important for the manufacturing industry, but there's just not an obvious way to collect that data.
Yeah, I think it depends on the sector and the business. If you talk about manufacturing, As you said, we have hundreds of sensors in any production company, and every of those sensors could be important regarding to any conclusion-making process. Because, for example, it's a possibility that you change the temperature of the process in one degree, and you can save $1,000, for example. And if you think about sales, for example, the data regarding to your customers is important as well. And the one who is winning in this is someone who can connect those different data from different areas to actually make a good conclusions. And what I think about, because probably we will talk about ERP systems as well in a few episodes. And for example, those ERP systems are the ones who are synchronizing the information, the data between different areas of business. But regarding to managers, you have to know that collecting any data is better than not collecting at all. But even more important is what you will do with this data, and if you or your team will find time to actually spend on it and make better conclusions.
Sure. So data is the king. What other skills or abilities managers can learn from manufacturing environment?
We are talking about artificial intelligence, right? That 2023 is a year of artificial intelligence. Some people can be scared because they work. This is the first time in history that, for example, ChatGPT can actually, you can use ChatGPT to cut some creative work from people. It's the first time, because usually automatization, robotization, IT systems, and so on, you can say automatize processes which are manual, and there's no creativity in it. Nowadays, more creative works can be automatized. But I think something which is, if we think about us as humans, there are some features which it's hard to imagine that could be automatized. For example, if I just take this pen and put it here, I can imagine that the robot can do it better, faster, and more precise. But if I think about communication skills, education skills, and actually think about you as a other human being and a person who is specific and I should learn how I can talk to you, this is something which is out of the ordinary and which is hard to automatize. So soft skills are nowadays more important than even a few years ago.
Yeah, that's crazy. But this is actually the truth. That very often. I'm glad you say that, because very often people that are aware of technology, they seem not to understand the soft skills, right? They seem not to care about them too much. But what we are experiencing right now, the revolution in AI, I think it's gonna prove that a lot of those soft skills that were not that important cannot be replaced as easy as the technical part. So yeah, the ability to prioritize different tasks. Do you think that could be addressed by AI, or it's still a human area?
Yeah, I think it could be done by AI, but we as a human, we know the bigger context and the bigger picture. For example, machines think 0 to 1, how to do from 0 to 1 always, and they see it white or black. But we see, for example, okay, this decision maybe it's not the most optimal one, for example, but it is important regarding to the general communication strategy of company. For example, let's say we wanna buy a robot in our company, and we see that from finance way it will be more efficient and so on. But if we think about it as a humans, and we use the soft skills, we can say, okay, my company maybe it's not ready yet to implement robotics, for example.
Sure. Okay. Let's move forward. Like, what other things we can learn from manufacturing environment? I think being able to make friends with the IT department is crucial, as I've seen, very many projects that were struggling just because the ability to communicate and to have a relationship with the IT department was not that great. How would you do that if you were a DTM or a manager? How would you make friends with the IT department? What would you buy them, like SSD drives? Like what can we do?
Maybe I'm not the best adressate because I'm from IT as well. But I would say we have to know that nowadays, to do our job as a manager without IT, without software, it's impossible, right? Of course, it depends on the different businesses, because in some businesses, people are still the biggest leverage, but most of the companies right now, especially in manufacturing, the systems are the biggest leverage. And this is how the market works. So if you don't have systems, if you don't have automatization, your costs are too big. So you are not operating as well as you could. And probably your prices are higher and so on. So of course it depends, right? Because, for example, if we see the automotive industry, we have for example, Volkswagen, which have a very automatized production lines and so on, and we have Bugatti, when you still have a manual, work done. But this is a strategical difference. It's very hard to imagine the same way of operations, for example, in food industry or a chemical industry, when still the price is mostly the most important factor when you are choosing the good.
Sure, and it's the economy of scale, as well. Like, I think I don't know how many Bugattis they make per year, but I don't know, 5, 10, 20, I don't know. But Volkswagen probably makes hundreds of thousands of cars, so the attention to details is probably different. But yeah, how do we make friends with the IT department?
I would say the first factor would be to show, as a company, as a C-level of a company, I would say that this is show the importance of this department, right? Because I see a lot of times when people say, okay, those are IT guys, they have to be here and so on. But it's very important to have an IT department who has actually empathy with people and knows their role. That without them, the business cannot work in a way they should work. So I think showing the importance of this department is very crucial, and also the empathy, because of course now not all of the IT guys will be talking with people with understandable language, I would say. But you have to know that, and if you trust those guys, probably they maybe will not communicate the best way with you in an understandable way, but they will do their job.
Sure. Yeah, I think it's important to recognize their work, right? Because I don't think, like, people know, that people know that the IT department is required, and kind of what they do, but I don't think they get enough recognition for what they are actually doing. And if you show them that recognition, I think this relationship can start growing, and it's important to have that the relationship should have benefits on both sides, right?
Yeah, you never know when you will need them,
and then the IT guys, they might need help of someone else, right?
Yeah.
they usually they are like very isolated, right? The IT, unfortunately. But I think this will change as I see like regular companies becoming IT companies because they have to adapt so much technology that it's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
But I also see that technological companies, IT companies, they are becoming more like the regular companies. I see that switch happening.
Yeah, but and also if you think about transformation of those departments, IT departments, you know that nowadays they are responsible for the entire security of know-how from the company, right? Because you have thousands of devices which are connected to internet and so on, and cybersecurity nowadays it's more important than 10 years ago. So
it's a whole different world now.
Yeah, it's
right?
it's a whole different world. Like 20 years ago, those were guys who are just installing the printers on the computers.
Mhm.
Nowadays, they are just they are the barrier between the world who wants to hack
Yeah.
you in any corner.
So it's like we are worried that technology will replace some of the people and eliminate the jobs. But I think what you just said, the technology actually created hundreds of jobs, that are related to this technology. So they didn't really, they actually help people. They didn't replace people. They help people. And then there was, I think, more jobs created by technology than eliminated by technology.
Yeah, I think it's a normal way. If we think about agriculture, for example, 100 years ago, most of people 100 years ago work in agriculture, right? And unemployment was the same level than nowadays. We have more people in the world because now we have 8 billion. Like 100 years ago, it was around 4. And the unemployment rate is in the same way. So how does it work that we have much more technology nowadays, and in the same time people are still going to work every day? So
Sure.
So as you said, more technology creates more different services and different job.
Yeah. Do you think that the manufacturing environment is more innovative than other industries?
Yes, most of the technologies, if you think about it, it started in manufacturing. For example, ERP systems, right?
Mm-hmm.
ERP systems starts in manufacturing in 60s,
Mm-hmm.
1960s. If you think about robotics, now we are talking about robots which you can use in your home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Robot, like a hand of the robot who will cut your apples and so on.
Mm-hmm.
And it started in 60s and 70s in manufacturing. So a lot of different automatizations start in manufacturing, and people are thinking how to adopt those technologies to work with in different sectors. Same with IoT, for example, right? It's normal in every production plant that different PLCs and different machines are communicating to each other. IT systems are communicating with them. And nowadays we see that our refrigerator is ordering on Amazon some stuff which is needed right now, right?
Yeah. So why this manufacturing environment is more innovative than other industries? Why is it? Just because it's required to be competitive? Is because this environment is kind of used to collecting data, measuring? Why do you think that environment is so innovative?
Because I think the technology in the manufacturing environment have the biggest leverage, right? Because as we said, there's more people in the world every single day. So there's more demand on different products. And after that, after we have a base products, we think about services. But products such as food, such as drinks, after a while, cars and so on, those are things which we have to use every single day. And so manufacturing is the heart and of the any economy, if you think about it, every bigger economy. And technology is the biggest leverage in most of those companies.
We don't have to do takeaways.
Yeah.
But let's discuss an idea that I just had.
Okay. Go on.
Do you think that China was within the last years was developing so fast because they were manufacturing a lot of things and they were kind of implementing the technology to optimize their the production lines and the production in general? Do you think that the fact that they were the manufacturing center of the world, do you think that drove the innovation for China?
If you think about China, you see like 1.5 billion people almost, and the unemployment rate is really low, right? And in the same time, in a lot of different categories, they are very, very innovative. For example, robotics, right? They are one of the top 5 countries in the world who has adopted the robotics. How is that, right? Of course, this is because of the globalization, and we now the chains of creating the value are cut it by pieces, and a lot of those technical pieces are done, for example, in China and in Asia in general, and that's how the world works nowadays. But if you do something in a big scale, you are creating bigger margins, and those margins can be invested in creating your own ideas, your own products, and then buying a technology which can help you developing. And of course, manufacturing one of those phases in China, which push, you can say, the development in a different stage. But the other one is what manufacturing helped to develop the other areas. For example, railways. For example, the big cities which we know. For example, the building skyscrapers and so on. So manufacturing is something which is starting this wheel, but services, and because we sometimes we think about manufacturing that there's like one company which is hiring, for example, 10,000 people, but for every 10,000 people, you have 10,000 people more which are cooperating with these businesses in a service sector, which are helping in the different areas of business.
Absolutely. So yeah, just to sum it up, I think that was the accelerator of China's global expansion. So yeah, it was good talk. Thank you, and see you next week.
Yeah, thank you. Bye.